one of my most favorite topics to discuss and to study and to advocate for is the topic of recovery from mental illness. Recovery is not a process where there's a finish line, for example. It's really important to think about recovery as an ongoing process. So there isn't a point at which somebody is recovered or has reached the summit. It's very important to think about recovery as a day-to-day process that is ongoing, good days and bad days, and primarily learning how to live with your symptoms of MI or mental illness. So if you're having significant anxiety that's impacted your life and you have the diagnosis, how is it that you live your life with this as part of your life? One of the best visual representations of recovery that I've ever seen, I found on a website of an organization in California called The Village. And The Village is a grassroots organization, a clubhouse organization, and they described recovery in this way, that early on in a person's identity, or early on right after diagnosis, a person has a particular identity. And if you want to think about this circle, for example, as a person's identity, early on when a person is diagnosed, much of their identity is taken up with the idea that I am schizophrenic. So if a person is very early on in the diagnosis, they think, this is all I am. My identity is about being schizophrenic. So what this visual representation offered was an alternative to this circle being filled up, this circle of identity being filled up with the identity of a schizophrenic. So part of what the person's identity certainly is having schizophrenia. So part of my identity is indeed that I am a person with MI or mental illness. In addition to that, I'm a citizen. I am a citizen of the United States, I'm a citizen of a town, and so forth. There are additional pieces to my identity. I'm a spouse, for example. I'm a neighbor. I'm part of a town. I'm a spouse and a neighbor. I am also a mother. I am also an employee of an organization, perhaps. In addition, I may be a daughter. So part of recovery is learning that, yes, I have a mental illness, right? I have a mental illness, but it's only a piece of who I am. And part of recovery is learning this, that mental illness is part of who I am, but there are many, many other facets to my life and to my identity. So what are the things that we know help people get better? Specifically, what helps people in recovery? What's healing? How do we help reduce the overwhelming feelings of fear and distress that people often have who have mental illness and who are in crisis? What are the things that people experience as healing? This kid thinks he knows what the answer is. This kid knows exactly what helps people recover, right? It's medications. Yay, medications, right? Medications. I know, it's counseling. Counseling helps people get better. What about lots of money? Lots of money and resources, right? Or here it is. I know it's DBT, right? DBT is what makes people get better, right? Not so fast. There are actually four things that, in my opinion, are the most important components of recovery. And the first is hope. A person has to have hope. And you'll see in some of the other videos this theme that psychiatrists often say with a diagnosis of, say, schizophrenia, someone is often told that things are not going to go well for you. There's not much hope. You're going to experience significant problems in your life, and you'll probably never get better. These are the kinds of things that are the opposite of supporting recovery. So we have to tell people, there is many people with schizophrenia and with mental illness lead full and productive lives, and many get better. These are the kinds of messages that support recovery. The second component that supports recovery in people's lives is human connection. And if you look at some of these pictures here, there's some friends hanging out, there's an older couple hanging out, there's a couple of sisters hanging out. So it's human connection is, and research is showing more and more that how important it is to our biology, our physiology, and our mental health. People who experience extended periods of isolation from other people tend to have their symptoms worsen. People with dementia get worse when they are in isolation of other people. Human connection keeps us grounded to reality. It helps us stay oriented. It helps us separate what's real and what isn't real. Human connection is a key component of recovery for people. I found this on Facebook and I thought it was so appropriate for our purposes here. When I is replaced by we, even illness becomes wellness. It's so true that when somebody is brought into the group and I is replaced by we, there's a sense of human connection. This is what supports recovery. A third critical component to recovery is meaningful activity. For some, this may mean a job or work, but for many people, it's what brings their life meaning. Why do I get up in the morning? What are the things that are important to me? Are there other people who are counting on me? These are the things that help people move forward and continue to get out of bed and just keep swimming, as Dory would say in Finding Nemo. What are the things that keep people engaged in life? Well, one is certainly meaningful activity. And that's why we talk about the importance of employment to recovery in many of our rehab classes. However, meaningful activity does not necessarily have to be employment. It can be volunteering. It can be visiting people. There are all kinds of ways that people can engage in meaningful activity. The fourth and final component to recovery, as I see it, is the whole idea of Rogers' unconditional positive regard. That there is the presence of at least one person who, no matter what, is going to have your back. This doesn't mean that the person approves of the choices that you make or agrees with you, but it means that no matter what, you've got somebody who you can lean on. So in summary, Barrett's opinion on recovery, version 2.0. So Barrett's version of recovery, involves these four critical components: hope, human connection, meaningful activity, and the presence of at least one person who believes in you unconditionally.